You are now listening to the Pelicans post-game report. Flash report.
For all things Pelicans, you're now tuned into the Pelican post-game report. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in this PPR Flash report. Much love to the fam. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and feel free to share this important Pelican content across the Pelican world. Fam, listen, the Pels right now, man, this Flash report's entitled Pelicans in the midst of a full-blown injury crisis. This is very abnormal. I was doing some research and I was looking around to see if anybody else is dealing with the kind of injuries the Pelicans have been dealing with. Of course, we know, family, that the Pels, this is nothing new. The Pelicans have been dealing with injuries over the last several years. Zion's career has been pretty much marred by a lot of the injury situation. It has stalled his development. It has definitely hurt him in many different ways. His game should be a lot farther along. His mid-range game should be there. Everything, but all of the injuries are just sapping away a lot of it. But this is not just exclusively about Zion Williamson. A myriad of different Pelican important key players, starters and role players have been bitten by the injury bug. And it's just something. We've seen it across the NBA. We've seen it with teams. Memphis is having issues. We've seen it with Milwaukee. We've seen it with Philadelphia. We've seen it just across the NBA. A lot of it's an uptick in different injuries that's going on. And we're going to talk about that today. And I ain't going to drag it out long. So let's get into it. Now, this is the news that came across today. We know Jose Alvarado had an issue in last night's disappointing loss to the Brooklyn Nets in the Smoothie King Center, dropping the Pelicans to 5 straight losses. They have a very intense 5-game schedule heading up next, and these are against some of the tougher teams in the NBA, and it's going to be a gauntlet for the Pelicans. They did get Trey Murphy back. He's on a minute restriction, but let's hit some of this news, fam. This is what's going on here. Pelicans Jose Alvarado, hamstring, expected to miss 6 weeks. New Orleans will be without pesky defensive guard Jose Alvarado for 6 weeks because of hamstring injury. Pelicans suffer another injury loss as guard Jose Alvarado expected to miss 6 weeks. This is reported by Shams. Alvarado will be out because of a left hamstring issue he suffered in Monday's 107-105 loss to the Nets. Pelicans announced Tuesday that he will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. So with that now, you have New Orleans now down a bunch of people, including Jose, Zion, who just, not too long ago got hit with his own little situation that we had to deal with. This was like he just got sidelined indefinitely. And what we saying indefinitely, one might say, we thinking he's coming back, but there is a window there for Zion Williamson to ultimately return back to action to kind of help out. Some said 4 to 6 weeks to watch that timeline. But this is, I'm most not ignoring a lot of the faithful thought process on it because we've heard the hamstring issue before. This is the third time, some more severe than others, where he was supposed to come back, and then somewhere along the line, he had an injury setback and he was gone for the whole year. There was a couple of years ago, when he was dragged along the entire year, told, given this stuff. And this is all in the hands of David Griffin. He's the one that deals with a lot of these injury, dealing with Zion Williamson. And sometimes he got caught in outright fibbing. But anyway, this is just something that's really just hitting the Pelicans hard, man. Really tearing them up. Like I said, no Zion, no CJ, no Herb, no DeJounte, no Hawkins. And it's going to be a tough stretch situation down the line. Pelicans are 3-8 and has lost 5 straight and are 3-3 start as injuries have piled up for the team. Zion Williamson, left hamstring. New guard DeJounte Murray, left hand fracture, both out indefinitely. Veteran guard CJ McCollum has a right abductor strain, and defensive-minded forward Herb Jones has a right shoulder strain that is keeping them from out for multiple weeks. The Pelicans are missing star power during their swoon, but they have struggled on defense this season, entering This week, they are allowing almost 125 points per 100 possessions. That's 3.6 more than any other team in the NBA. During their 1-7 stretch, they're now ranked last in opponent effective field goal percentage and are 29th in defensive rebound percentage. This season, Alvarado's averaging career highs with just under 11 points per game, just under 5 assists, and a steal and a half. 3-point shooting is 40% while serving as a starter in 7 of the last 11 games. Should be out for 6-week timeline that would put him back in a lineup around Christmas. New Orleans opens that NBA Cup play this week and has 11 of its 20 games at home. Well, we'll see what happens here. Very interesting situation dealing with Jose Alvarado, and all of the stuff is going on with the Pelicans, missing so many players, man. But, you know, like I said, this is a list right here that you have. You can see them rolling down one at a time of the damn people that's out with Jose, Zion, Jordan Hawkins, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, and DeJounte Murray. Just crazy work that we see going on with our Pelicans right now. But let's kind of head into this one, fam. Let's kind of talk on this thing, man, because with this being said, the Pelicans are literally going to have to dig deep into the depth chart and just keep making moves to keep the team afloat. We'll talk about that momentarily. Let's get into this article right here that asks a really good question. NBA already has massive injury issue just 3 weeks into the season. That's barely the night where a star player hasn't gone down. So if you're in the NBA, you may want to walk generally. Yeah, he says, as relayed by Injury Tracker, Jeff Stotts of In Street Clothes do a really good job of kind of keeping an eye on some of these injuries. Games missed are up to 35% compared to this time last year, and we're barely 3 weeks into the season. Along with that, Stotts reported last games are up 16% compared to 22-23. You know, the names, Holmgren, Ben Charo, Ja Morant, Kevin Durant, Aaron Gordon, DeJounte Murray, Kawhi Leonard, Zion Williamson again. In fact, Williamson's Pelicans can barely field the team these days, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. It is a confounding issue, Stotts recently told Mark Stein of the Stein Line. I don't think there's one singular cause. I think it's a multitude of factors from off-season approach to practice methods. Also still believe that the pace and space era has taken a major toll on players' bodies. Every position is now asked to cover more ground, and this could be difficult, especially for bigs. It leaves players vulnerable to injury. Others across the NBA have suggested that the players are simply on the court too much and not just for games. Guys are doing full shooting workouts, sometimes lifting weights before games. One NBA player told Hoops Wire his voice rising. They need showers before they even get to the layup line. It doesn't matter your age. All this extra count time is going to take a toll on your body. Everyone has their own theories. No one has any answers. All we know is NBA bodies have been breaking down at an alarming rate, and we're barely into 24-25 season. So there you go with some of that, just to put a little something on your mind about this whole situation with the injuries. So the Pelicans are not the only ones that's dealing with injuries. Everybody else seems to be dealing with injuries as well. We just seem to kind of lead the way, you know what I'm saying, in terms of that, man. So like I said, so many people miss an injury, like the thumbnail suggests, man. Look at that, man. These guys, these are some of your core guys. Zion is the star. DeJounte Murray is the key free agent, floor general, barely got in there, got hurt in his first game. Herb Jones is your best defender. He's out. One of your best three-pointer shooters in CJ McCollum. He's hurt. He's out. Hawkins, young up, very talented guard, playing defense, sharp shooting. He's out. Just got Trey Murphy back, and now we lose Jose Alvarado. So the Pelicans going to have to dig deep, man. This is a crisis, and we'll test the depth of the team going forward. Anyway, speaking of depth, let's look at the depth charts before we slide out on this injury report. One of the promising things, or the bright spots to this really dark issue with the injuries the Pelicans are currently undergoing, is the fact that we've discovered a few players. Brandon Boston Jr. Has really stepped up. The Pelicans brought this guy in. He's been absolutely fantastic. And one of the bright spots, to be honest with you, was him getting all this time and us finding his talent. Yves Misi is another dude. Yves has been absolutely phenomenal. He had his first double-double last night in a losing effort. He's running the floor, shot blocking. The young center is really stepping up. That was a major point of contention for the Pelican faithful coming into the season, like who's going to be the center. And with all of these injuries happening, Yves is getting a lot of time to develop, man. So, and that's what we wanted. So to see him running around, man, could you imagine if he continues to get these heavy minutes or similar minutes, that what he's going to look like toward the completion of the regular season? He's going to be a guy, man, that you know, that's going to be something very important and special. And then, of course, you look at other guys getting opportunities to see what they can do, like Javonte Green, the hustler, doing his thing out there. Jamal Cain, when he does play, most of the time he makes a good effort. We've seen Trey Jemison get out there and have communication issues, play defense, not communication issues rather, but communicate with other Pelican faithful, calling out plays, you know, and talking, just communicating. And then you talk about talent like Jalen Noel, who's out there doing his thing as well. Talented two guard type, trying to play the point guard role as a player with NBA experience. So there are quite a few things. J.R. Reezy also getting a good amount of time. He had a pretty decent game last night as well. But that's the bright spot, us being able to get a good look at some of our younger players that would be buried this second or third string. Some of these guys are fourth string guys that's coming in trying to help the Pelicans stay afloat during a difficult time frame. So, man, and it just doesn't get any easier going into the remaining some of these other games that we've planned as we get into, and I kind of sinking on this schedule right here. Let me see if I can kind of zoom in on this schedule so y'all guys can see what we're talking about here. These are the next few games that we have. We got OKC tomorrow at 6:30 on ESPN. You got OKC, one of the tougher teams in the NBA. You have Denver, the Lakers at home, both of those guys. Then you go on the road against Dallas and Cleveland, a team that we played okay, but Cleveland's also a very difficult team. They took it over in a waning game. Then you come home for a matchup against Golden State, and then you go to Indiana for a matchup against the Pacers, who are going to want to get a little get back, and then Toronto at home. So you have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. We talk about the last 5, but you throw G State in there too. That's 6 games. That's 6 difficult games. And the Pelicans, man, are going to have to find a way. As they're currently on a 5-game losing streak, they're going to have to figure out a way to get back into this thing, man. And it's not going to be easy early, man. So a lot of pressure is on Willie Green. He's going to have to learn how to finish these games. Willie Green, man, this is going to be tough. The Pelicans could be very well facing, and I don't want to be negative, but it is the way they're playing. The fact that you had how the breakdowns are, low IQ defense at times when guys don't know where they're supposed to be, and it's supposed to be Willie Green's forte is defense. Guys supposed to know where to be. It's just so much, man. And it's kind of concerning about if the Pelicans can be able to overcome this over the next 6 games, because if they don't, they could very well be facing down a potential 10 to 11 game losing streak, if not more. So we know some of these teams might have an off night or what night. The Pelicans might be able to sneak them. We'll see how it goes, man. But this is a tough stretch. The next 6 games the Pelicans have, man, with a bunch of backups and Willie Green being Willie Green, right? Anyway, that's going to do it for the Pelican postgame report. Flash report. Do me a service, please, faithful. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. PPR is in this thing. I'm Big Q. We'll be back tomorrow, man, when we go over the recap. We'll have the live scoreboard up for the matchup against OKC. We'll also have the Pelican postgame report immediately following the live scoreboard. We'll break down all the latest. We'll cover what happens with Pels and the Thunder. And we'll see if our Pelicans can find a way out of this thing, man. This is pretty tough for us. So y'all stay strong, man. And we're going to see what happens here. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all. We're going to holler at y'all on the next one. Peace. Go Pels.
Subscribe now and stay up to date for all things New Orleans.